video right here is where I start dreaming about fall. Hi, I'm April, and this is my channel, Faithful Over Little, where I try to encourage and inspire you to be faithful over the things that God has placed in your life as I try to be faithful with mine. I live in Central Florida, so it is very much the hottest time of year at this moment, but we're getting close to the time of year where I pretend to live in an autumnal paradise. I listen to all my favorite fall themed jazz, and I drink as much pumpkin spice almond creamer that I can because I'm completely basic. And I fill my house with the aroma of spices like nutmeg and cinnamon. And that really just helps me get me in the fall spirit and mood. So this recipe right here is going to transport your senses into that beautiful autumnal scene with the colors changing and the leaves falling. Your house will just smell like coziness and love when you're making this recipe. This is just one of those recipes where you can learn how to can, you can make it super simply, you can make your house smell delicious while you're making it, and then you get to enjoy it as well as give them out for gifts. So if you like any of those things, stick around as I walk you through. First things first, for this apple butter recipe, you're going to need apples. I used about 6 pounds of Fuji apples, but you can use any sweet variety, golden, delicious, Macintosh or McIntosh, however you say that, Honey Crisp. You're definitely going to want to stay away though from any type of sour apple, green apples. I don't know if you'd want to use just a pure Granny Smith apple for this recipe per se, but definitely stick to soft and sweet. So as you can see, the first step to this process is just peeling your apples. If you have an apple peeler / corer, it will go a lot quicker, but I don't, so here I am peeling by hand. And then just a quick little tip that maybe you know, and if you don't, putting your apples in an ice bath will keep them from browning as quickly. You could add a dash of lemon if you'd like, if you have like a lot more than just 6 pounds that you are planning on doing, but I didn't, so I didn't want to add lemon to make it any type of sour. So the next nifty little step is going to be to chop up your apples as well as core them. And this is going to be a pro tip. If you're into making things from scratch, and if you're here, you probably are, keep your cores and keep your peels and put them in a Ziploc bag to freeze, because we can make some apple cider vinegar later at home from scratch. Alright, now that we have our apples nice and chopped and in the slow cooker, let's start with making our spice mix. Alright, so this recipe calls for 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of light brown sugar lightly packed, about 4 teaspoons of apple pie spice mix, which you can find at your local grocery store, and then I added a few pinches of sea salt to the mix. After you've blended your spices well and then mixed them all together with your diced up apples in the slow cooker, you're going to want to go ahead and turn on your slow cooker, set it to 10 hours on low, and have a good rest of your night. I'm currently making apple butter, and I was checking on it, and it smells so good in here. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. And that's why I see this. Look at all that activity. Holy crud. Like, look at that. It's like a science project for adults. It's so exciting. I'm gonna go show my parents now because I'm a child. Now that I've given you a completely unnecessary but super exciting sourdough starter update, you're going to want to add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract to the apple butter, or the apples, I guess you could say at this point. Once that 10-hour finishes, then you're going to want to mix that loveliness up. It's going to smell so good, guys. Oh, it was amazing. And then after that, you're going to kind of cover it. So the trick here, I tried to use my latches, but it just didn't hold. So what you're going to want to do is put 2 wooden spoons or 2 flat spoons on either side of your slow cooker, and then cover it so that the steam doesn't get trapped in a way that it will be pressurized, but it won't all escape, and it will still keep it really nice and hot. Quick break to shout out our sponsor for this video. This is a from scratch recipe that I am going to can in the next half of this video. Canning is just a simple act of preserving your food in a way that's going to stick around, have a long shelf life, but the simple things inside of it are a lot healthier than a lot of the canned goods that you may find in the store sometimes, where they add a lot of chemicals for preservatives. Canning is one of those life skills that we have lost as a culture. It's one of the lost skills. And so the sponsor for today's episode is someone who loves to teach those lost skills to your children. Farmhouse Books Co. Farmhouse Books Co. is a company where they have books as well as videos to teach your children all about recovering those lost skills like gardening, making things with your hands like sewing and knitting, making non-toxic cleaning supplies for your home, and the list goes on and on and on. How they do this is they take books like Swiss Family Robinson or Alice in Wonderland, classic children literature. They go and they take the books and they annotate exactly how to regain these skills by giving crafts, by giving different activities for your children to do. So this is a wonderful homeschool curriculum. If you're looking for one, it's also a great additional curriculum that you could use on the side with your family on the weekends, so that your kids can learn the lost skills and be more capable of taking care of themselves and their families in the future. So if you're one of the many families that is getting way more hands-on with their children's education in these life and times that we're living, check out the link in my description to check out more about Farmhouse Books Co. All right, back to the recipe. So as you can see here, I'm not actually using my canning pot. After I bought my canning pot, I actually realized it's not graded at all for a glass top stove. So I went ahead and just used the largest pot that I had, which was my pressure cooker. And I placed a canning rack on the bottom of it, which you can find at your local grocery store, like a Walmart, or online. If you don't have the budget right now to go buy a canning rack, you can also put a canning rack together by using the rings of your canning jars and then wiring them together with something that would handle the heat. Obviously something that's not plastic, because it would melt. So as you can see, it is the next day. What I did the night before is I just put the finished product into airtight containers in the refrigerator overnight, and then I warmed it up for about an hour in the slow cooker before I started, which may have been a necessary step, I'm not sure. And then I used my immersion blender to get it all smooth and blended out. While it was blending, I went ahead and sanitized my jars. You're going to want to reference your canning manuals, but for this one, the manual that I referenced told me to sanitize it in boiling water for about 5 minutes. After that, you just want to lift them with your canning lifter. These are some necessary supplies you actually will need: a canning lifter, an extra wide mouth funnel, and then you can use a chopstick or a very flat butter knife, but you can also find a bubble popper, that little flat thing there, in a 3-piece set, usually at Walmart, and they have a lot of sets on Amazon for a really fairly inexpensive price, and I'll link some options down below. For this next part, you're going to want to just ladle in the apple butter, leaving about a 1/2 inch of headspace or empty space at the top. Remove all the air bubbles. You can use your bubble popper or chopstick or a butter knife and gently kind of like twirl it around the side of the jars to get those bubbles to come up to the top. Then clean the rims with a damp towel using either water or white distilled vinegar. And then go ahead and place your lids on to just a finger grip tightness. You don't have to like try to be a bodybuilder trying to tighten these. Just tighten them to finger grip tightness and then lower into your boiling water. So you're going to want to leave it boiling in that high heat for 10 minutes, and then you're going to turn off the heat, but don't move the pot. Leave it cooling inside of the water for 5 minutes before removing and placing on a towel to cool down really for about 12 hours. Within the next hour or two, you're going to start hearing popping coming from your kitchen. Don't worry, don't be scared. The popping is actually your lids sealing and getting that pressure in them that is needed to keep it safe for you to eat for up to a year. I know, isn't that crazy? You just canned something that's going to last you a whole year in your pantry. Honestly, they're not going to last that long in your pantry because they're that good. And like I said, you can give these away. Another way to check though, if you weren't able to hear those pops, you can just come and put pressure on the lids. If they give way and make like a little popping noise, that means it's not properly sealed and you need to go ahead and redo the canning process with the water bath. If there is no give and there's no popping sound, you have safely canned your first jar of apple butter. So this part is completely optional, but I like to label on top as I desire to continue canning and I want to know what's in my cans. Like I said, this lasts you about a year, and this recipe should give you about 10 to 12 jelly jars or 8-ounce cans of apple butter.
Eat it, eat it. How's it? Thumbs up.
Is it yummy? Yeah. You vibe. Good job. As you can see, this recipe is super simple. It does take a little bit of time, but most of the time that it takes, it's sitting in the slow cooker and you're not doing anything with it. Definitely try it out. If you do, let me know down in the comments. If this video gave you a craving for fall, drop some leaves in the comments where we can just all pretend we're living in this autumnal paradise together. All right, guys, thanks so much for sticking around. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more to come. Bye, friends. See you next time. And don't forget to be faithful over little.